Hello and good evening. It's time for another edition of the Blockchain Mastery Podcast. My name is Titilayo Oyison, and I'm your host for Blockchain Mastery Podcast. And it's all about blockchain technology, the opportunities and possibilities for the future. That's why we're here. That's what we talk about every time we go live on this pod. Now, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. We've been doing what we can over the years to enlighten people about the world of blockchain and, of course, get rid of some of the fear, anxiety, give people a little more insight into how they can thrive in the space. Yes, I've been involved in blockchain tech for quite a while, and I'm always so interested in having people join us and have great conversations about the space. Today's topic is an interesting one. We're going to be talking about leveraging hackathons, building blockchain portfolio, and contributing to open source for career advancement. Yes, big words, big tech. It's a big industry. The blockchain industry is evolving rapidly. It's standing out in this extremely and standing out in this completely competitive field now requires a more proactive approach to gaining experience and building a professional profile. Yes, okay, you are in tech now. You've entered the space, but if your profile isn't professional enough, what differentiates you from that person down the street who thinks that they can use blockchain to swindle people? I'm just saying, you need to build up your portfolio. And today's discussion is going to bring together three very crucial aspects that can significantly boost your career in blockchain. Participating in hackathons and competitions is a big deal. It's a big thing right now. Also, building a compelling portfolio and contributing to open source projects. Hopefully, we'll be able to go over all this, but we'll do our best. Today, we have joining us to provide some valuable insights Charles Freeborn. Now, he is an independent technical writer. He's also a trainer. He's an open source contributor to the Ethereum docs, and he's a keynote speaker. Now, he's also the founder of Web3 Warri. Now, if you know him from Web3 Warri, a community of blockchain and smart contract developers, just holla in the comment section right now, holla in the chat right now, and let us know you're right there. We can't wait to see your comments, questions, and contributions when he joins us. He's also the founder of Charlies Codage, rather. It's a Web3 marketing agency, also involved in technical writing training. There's quite a lot more we're going to learn about Charles Freeborn, and he's joining us right now. Hello, Charles. How's it going?
Hi, Titi. Going on well.
Okay, the way you're looking at me, like as if it wasn't your profile I was reading.
All
It
right.
was your own profile.
It felt
Mhm.
surreal actually getting to hear you with my profile.
Really? You've done a lot in the space. I've heard your name before, and I'm just so happy to be able to speak with you today. Thanks for what you do and supporting so many people who have come into the space. But you need to let us in on how your journey began. Let us know.
All right. All right. So first off, let me start by saying thank you for having me. Uh, this is going to be my first podcast interview, and really, really excited about it. Uh, so the background, basically, I would say that I stumbled into the blockchain space by accident, right? So I'd been a technical writer for since 2018, and sometime in 2022, I got a message from someone on LinkedIn who wanted me to join their organization as a contractor. So I was actually reached out to by someone from one of the leading uh, organizations at the forefront of blockchain. I was actually reached out from someone from Protocol Labs. Protocol Labs, the organization that builds IPFS and Filecoin, and they wanted me to join the team on a short-term basis to just help with the documentation and content, right? And I just like, okay, let me just give it a shot and see what this is actually all about. And that was more like my first introduction to this space. So that would be 2021 into 2022, I think September of 2021. And so I got a contract just to help with documentation and then getting to help do some form of developer advocacy within Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa. And that was how I got into blockchain. So it started with more like someone getting to see my resume and wanted me to just join the team to handle some to help support their work with respect to content and getting to help push the awareness around IPFS and Filecoin and what they do then at Trade Collabs. And that was how I got into blockchain.
So I'm really interested in hearing about your journey a little bit more. I know that you're actively involved in developer communities, especially as a volunteer. But talk to us about how important it was for you to be part of some of the great projects you worked on. For instance, the Google Developers Group in 2018. Talk to us a bit about that.
Okay, all right. So while you were doing the introduction, I'm actually joining you from Warri in Nigeria, south of Nigeria, and I studied computer science and graduated in 2010 officially. But then, as at the time when I studied computer science, tech had not taken the shape or what it is right now, right? And then my and getting to and I think like my earliest involvement with developer communities and how we got into the GDG, the Google Developers Group, was the fact that I was seeing a lot of these tech folks, tech community builders, and maybe probably if I could just name some names off my head, we had the likes of Prespa Timuiwa, there was Ira Derinoko, Christian Wamba, Femi Taiwo of GDG Lagos, and a lot of there was a lot of tech developer communities happening in Lagos, but I'm in Warri and they are in Lagos. So the only thing I could actually do with participating in those events was getting to catch up with what they were sharing on Twitter, right? So there was Four Loop Africa happening then, there was GDG events happening in Lagos, and it was like these guys are really I just seem to be enjoying everything they were doing with and what they were sharing on Twitter, right? Just following the event and some of the events that they will stream live, I would just participate as an attendee. However, I longed to be in their midst. I actually wanted to attend the event, but then I didn't have the resources. I didn't have the resources because, so by resources, I mean the financial leverage or the ability to actually attend those events. For example, an event happening in Lagos, let's say follow-up event happening in Lagos, or there's their first Lagos happening as at the time. That means if I had to go, that means I had to source for the money to probably get transportation there, and then I have to look for an money for accommodation, right? And it's just I didn't have the ability.
It was a lot.
As at
It
that,
was a lot.
as at that, yes. So I thought, why don't I just try to reproduce what it is I'm seeing over there in Lagos, in my local city in Warri, right? And so I just did a quick Google search on how to start a GDG chapter, and that was it. And I just applied to start a GDG chapter, and I got interviewed by the Google team that was handling the GDG, the Google Developers Group, as at that time. And in February of 2018, uh, I got the approval, or we got the approval rather, to start a GDG chapter in Warri, and that was how I got into developer communities. And the interesting thing
Right.
about
Yeah.
all right, and one of the most interesting thing about it was the fact that a lot of people actually don't believe this when I say this. I'm naturally introverted. I'm a naturally shy person, but starting a community, I knew I had to go out there to reach out to people. I had to meet them where they are, and the only place I knew as at that time where I could reach out to young people or people who might be interested in tech and getting to start the local community was universities, right? And there happen to be at least three tertiary institutions in within Warri. There's Federal University of Technology, sorry, Federal University of petroleum resources, FUPRE. There is Petroleum Training Institute, and then there's College of Education Warrior. So I felt, okay, if I could penetrate this institution, perhaps we could start a community from there. And the GDG, I'm happy to actually say that the Google Developers Group started from the Federal University of Petroleum Resources, FUPRE. So I went to the school, had to.
How strong is are these communities now? How
Oh,
many people in these communities? You've not given us that
ve-
insight yet.
very strong, very strong. We are over, as at the time of this recording, we are over 700 developers. Um, we've been able to grow. We've grown from just being a beginner community to a community of intermediate and advanced developers. We've had, uh, I think, if you permit me, I would like to share just one success stories, and then maybe we could get into the conversation around blockchain, if you will. You there? All right.
Okay, it does seem like
Okay.
it
So
does
I
seem
was going
like
to
we've been disconnected briefly. It seems like we've
I
been
was going.
disconnected briefly. I lost you for a few seconds there. I think it was an internet glitch. I didn't hear what you said last.
All right.
But
So
if you are tuned in, whatever platform you're tuned into, we have been having a conversation with Charles. Now, Charles transitioned into Web3 and blockchain in 2021 when he joined Protocol Labs, helping the team with IPFS and Filecoin. Now, at Protocol Labs, he worked as a content strategist and developer advocate, speaking at conferences across the African continent to help introduce developers to IPFS and Filecoin. He's already given us a little insight into how he got into the space. And hopefully, once we are able to reconnect with him, we will be able to sort out this internet thing, hopefully. Okay. All right. So, hopefully, as soon as he comes back in, he'll give us a wave. But
again,
while we're waiting for that to happen, what I can do is give you some news updates in the space. Charles, are you there? Can you hear me?
yes,
Can
I'm
you
here.
hear me, Charles?
Yes, I can hear you
All
loud
right,
and clear.
fantastic. Did you lose me too, or was it just me? Was it just me that
It's,
lost you?
I actually didn't lose you. I think you were the one that
Really?
lost me. Yeah.
Oh, dear me. So the whole screen froze, and I'm not sure why. But hey, it's technology, right? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
That's
I'm about
that's
to do
fine.
some news in the blockchain space, but let's go back to the conversation. We're going to talk about hackathons. How many hackathons have you participated in, and what role do you believe hackathons play in this industry? Participating in blockchain hackathons, did it enhance your skills? Did it enhance your knowledge, or what was it like for you? Talk to us.
All right. Okay. So first off, I organized the hackathon. I didn't participate in a hackathon.
Oh,
So
okay. That's
I was a hackathon. I was a hackathon organizer. So I automatically was disqualified from participating, right? And getting to talk about how relevant hackathons have for the blockchain space, I think is is massive. And this is so I'll start first with getting to talk about the hackathon that I organized in Warri, Nigeria. So I started the Web3 community in February of 2023, and the Web3 Warri community is basically focused, is a community for and of blockchain developers, smart contract developers, open source contributors, and basically anyone that is interested in pushing the web forward, right? And I understand that in I understand that one of the best ways that one can actually learn or solidify whatever it is that they are learning is through building, right? And because our community is focused on smart contract developers and blockchain developers, or building a community of smart contract and blockchain developers, it means that members of the community have to build smart contracts or the software that run on top of the blockchains, right? So the beauty about the hackathon is the fact that it gives you as an individual who's in the blockchain space an opportunity to actually build build the tooling or the products on that particular technology, on that particular blockchain protocol or platform. For example, in September, sometime last year, I think between June, September of last year, we did a series of workshop or with in partnership with the Graph Protocol, and we understood that understanding coming with the concept or with the understanding that if people the best way to actually learn is a mantra basically in the tech space is the best way to actually learn is to build. Look at it, even if you look at it from the lens of a Web2 developer or even a Web3 developer or a smart contract developer, you know that the best way to actually get to build, the best way to actually get to learn is to build, right? So hackathons give you a blockchain developer, a smart contract developer, or if you're even interested in blockchain or getting immersed in the blockchain, it gives you an opportunity to actually get to build yourself. So you are going to so that is from a high level, that is basically what's one of the I would say the benefits of participating in hackathons or organizing hackathons. And besides the fact that you might also get some form of monetary compensation, if you do not get to win, you will actually get to learn. And there is actually no substitute for learning, right? So that's one of the things I would say about being participating or organizing hackathon.
Okay, so now in terms of tips for preparing, I know that you're the one that arranges these hackathons. What are the things you've noted that the participants or newcomers probably didn't consider that didn't let them do so well? So everyone is looking for that insight into what they can do to, take advantage of these opportunities and make sure they don't waste them, for instance. So if you were engaging with young people right now who are preparing for a hackathon, what advice would you give them?
Okay, so hackathons. The first thing you need to understand when you're going in for a hackathon is to understand that hackathons are actually built around the central team. Okay, so for example, let's say different organizations have some expectations that they expect of you to participate in the hackathon. Let's be sure. Can you say hello if you are listening? Or can you
I
wave
can hear
if
you
we miss you
loud and
again?
clear. Loud and clear. I was listening to you. I
All
just wanted
right.
people to focus on you while you were speaking. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So
Ready.
so I was saying that hackathons are built around a central team, right? So the tech organization. So let's pick a particular, let's say an hypothetical blockchain organization. If they are hosting or organizing a hackathon, then they have a central team. There is an expectation that they have for participants that want to participate in that hackathon, right? And so you have to first and foremost understand the team or the expectation around that hackathon. That is the first one. And then secondly, you have to know the technology, right? So uh, getting to know the technology is hinged on the basic principle around the fact that you can't give what you don't have. So if you're participating and let's say, for example, let's use the graph protocol as an example, for example, and there is a hackathon being organized or funded by, let's say, the graph protocol. It is expected that you should know at least the basis or the fundamentals around the technology that the graph protocol uses, right? So your preparation should be one, get to understand the basic requirements or the expectations of the central team around the hackathon. And then secondly, go through the documentation of the protocol or the blockchain that is actually the blockchain protocol that is actually hosting that hackathon, right? Because think about it. The reason why they are organizing that hackathon is because they want you to build products or tools or solutions on top of their technology. So if you don't know their technology or you don't know their stack, then you're already at a disadvantage. So you have to be at
Definitely.
a so to position yourself rightly.
I want to touch briefly on open source projects now.
Okay.
Um, Break down what exactly they are and how significant it is to contribute to open source blockchain projects. So I feel like this is a window for a lot of people who want to get into the space. But is it a more convenient window or is it even more complicated? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a convenient window. It's not complicated, right? Um,
Could you say
we
that one
can
more time, please?
I said it's convenient. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. One of the ethos around the Web3 movement, so the Web3 philosophy is about decentralization or working in the open, right? And with open source within the blockchain space is very, very vital in getting to achieve what we want to achieve with mass adoption within the blockchain space and what have you. For example, uh, if you have to interact with a smart contract, for example, and you cannot even see the codes on the smart contract, it is already a red flag, right? So coming back to open source contributors, so if you want to actually uh, cement yourself in the space, or you actually want to go if or you actually want to build a strong reputation within the blockchain ecosystem or the larger Web3 ecosystem, then I believe strongly that you should contribute to open source. And it's very easy to actually contribute to open source platform. Let me just give you
Can you give
something.
some examples? Yeah, I was going to
Okay.
ask for some examples.
All right. So I'm going to
Um,
give
Popular ones.
All right, so I'm going to give just one interesting example. Just some few weeks ago, the Ethereum.org team. So I contributed, for example, to the Ethereum.org documentation. But sometime last year, I think it's the Ethereum.org team felt like we should be able to give accessibility of the docs to as many languages as possible, and so they called for translators to actually contribute by translating the documentation into different languages. And the example I actually want to give to you is that a team or a group of people from Nigeria actually translated the Ethereum.org documentation to Yoruba. And it was
Wow.
actually, yes, so it was actually tweeted. So I think the documentation was translated to Spanish and some other languages. But what got my attention was the fact that we had some dedicated individuals from Nigeria that picked the documentation and translated it to Yoruba language. So you see, you don't really to do that. You don't have to be technical, right? You just
Hmm.
pick the
True.
documentation and translate it. So it means that if you're listening to me, you could decide to translate the documentation to Igbo language, Hausa, or even Pidgin English, or whatever language you're most comfortable with, and you get. So that is
So
one example that I'm
now,
actually excited.
so obviously, contributing to open source projects like that adds to your portfolio. But
Yes, it
what
does.
are the key things that make up a great portfolio now? So, for instance, if you were told to recruit 5 people, to be part of a new project, what are the things you look out for in their portfolios?
Okay, so number one, I already mentioned that open source contribution. Um, Number two, I would look at for your involvement within the community, right? Like, how much do you contribute to the community? Do you enjoy, for example, teaching, or do you enjoy speaking? And then lastly, I'll look at for the technical skill, depending on the role. So, for example, um, so if it is If it is, let's say, a developer role, let's say a smart contract developer role, for example, or a blockchain developer role, for example, then how many projects have you built, right, as a smart contract developer, or how many projects have you been able to deploy to uh, testnet or even mainnet, right? So it has to do with number one, the projects that you've built or contributed to that are live, right? So even if it's getting to just have something on a test net, or if it is on a mainnet, then I think that is top notch. Then secondly, your contributions, open source contribution, and then uh, how immersed are you in, or how vitally involved are you in the blockchain ecosystem or community?
Hmm. So could you recap that for me one more time? The key things that you need in a portfolio. Could you just recap it for me so anyone watching can just jot them down so they can make sure they have it all in their portfolio?
Okay, so I think your portfolio should contain the projects that you've built or the protocols that you've contributed to. So, if, for example, you don't have a job, for example, and you're contributing to projects, right? You can actually input that. You can actually have that on your portfolio, and then and that also, so that should point to your GitHub profile, right, where the projects are actually there. And then secondly, I talked about open source contribution. If you're actually contributing actively to open source projects, I think after a while, you probably may not even need to go in for interviews because the community may have known you, right? And then they already know that, okay, we have somebody that's contributing to our protocol or our stack. And so you're already there. And then I talked about the fact that you should enjoy teaching or contributing to the community through teaching. I often like to say that one of the best ways you can actually use to uh, put yourself out there is getting to teach, right? So whatever it is that you're learning about blockchain or whatever technology that you're learning about, you if you're able to just teach it out, even if it just teach it maybe through writing or content creation, I think you already have a strong portfolio.
Is joining the Web3 Warri, is there some kind of registration? Is it free for people to just join, sign up?
Yes.
And is it only open to people that are in Warri right now? Or can anybody join?
All right. Okay. So number one, the community is free. Is free. We are extremely welcoming, right? We do not discriminate based on sex, religion, gender, whatever. We're very welcoming, and then yes, for now it is open to those within Warri and the environments or within Delta State because most of our workshops, meetups, or events happen within the city, and I think it's only fair to say that those within the city, so they don't get to bother about getting transportation costs or getting to travel long distance to have attend any of our events, workshops, or meetups.
I was actually going to ask which workshop is coming up next. This one says Saturday 17th. I'm seeing this on the screen right now. This is Web3 Arbitrum Event 2.0 at the Federal University of Petroleum Resources in Warri. Now, can you tell us a little bit about this particular event that's happening on Saturday?
Okay, so we are hosting an Arbitrum focused event across some select institutions in Delta State, right? We are we're starting. So this is event 2.0. That means there was event 1.0. So the event is focused on Arbitrum as a layer 2 solution, and we are hosting it across three tertiary institutions in Delta State. We have FUPRE, that is Federal University of Petroleum Resources, which is happening next tomorrow, August 17. And then we have one scheduled for the Petroleum Training Institute the next Friday. And then we're going to be also having one at Delta State University, Abraka, but that has not been scheduled because we're working with the school's academic calendar, and we were informed by the school authorities that they're currently on vacation. And so the event is going to be on Arbitrum as a layer two solutions, and how you can actually these sections, these series of workshops are going to be more of a technical sections around Arbitrum. And so we're taking Arbitrum and the blockchain knowledge to these campuses. So we're meeting them at their campuses. And I think once we're done with those ones, we're going to be having a hacker house, more like a boot camp, a 5 day hacker house for
Hmm.
some se- for
Five
some
days.
select, yes, for some select members of the community that actually want to actually go deep into getting to learn and build products around Arbitrum. And I think there's going to be some form of incentivization for the hacker house. So it's going to be like a hacker house slash a hackathon, right? So there's going to be some form of incentivization. So for teams that are able to build and deploy to the arbitrage chain, they will get some compensation. So the goal around this series of events from these institutions, and then wrapping up with the Hacker House, is for them to learn as much as they can learn about Arbitrum, and then actually get their hands dirty by building smart contracts and deploying them onto the Arbitrum chain. And we got some form of so we're in partnership with Arbitrum, basically, in getting to pull this off.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, I know that there's still so much more to what you do, and there's never enough time to, have conversations like this. But I thank you so much for joining us today on Blockchain Master Podcast. And for those of you who are watching for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. We do this as many times as we can in a week, actually. And if you would like to be one of our guests sometime soon, all you have to do is send us an email at dynamitepodcastnetwork@gmail.com, dynamitepodcastnetwork@gmail.com, and we will get back to you. Of course, we've been talking about building a proper blockchain portfolio, and we've been doing it with Charles Freeborn, technical writer, founder, Web3 Warri. He's at Charles Codes on X, right? Charles Codes on X.
Charlie Codes.
Charlie Codes. Charlie Codes on X. And on LinkedIn, he is Charles Freeborn, if you would like to connect with him. All right, then. Thank you so much, Charles, and good luck with this weekend's events.
Okay.
Good luck with
Thank
the event. Please don't be a stranger. Whenever you're working on any other projects, just reach out to us and we'll have a conversation.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Okay, then at this point, I'm going to let Charles go, but we still have news. What has been happening in the blockchain space, you might wonder at this point. Now, there's always something. There's always something up in the blockchain space, and I'm always trying to find updates. Let me see what I can find for you today. Okay, so there has been a lot happening. There's been a lot of ups and downs in the space. Let's just say that apparently Coinbase has teased the launch of CBBTC, an in-house alternative to wrapped BTC, that's WBTC. And a Turkish port operator apparently will invest $1.6 billion in 2 projects in El Salvador to help to bootstrap the country's Bitcoin City project. And then apparently Canadian regulators accused the crypto trading platform EasyBTC and its founder, David Smiley, of misappropriating customer funds. So yeah, for those of you who have people in Canada, if that is a platform they're using, you might want to give them a call. But let's talk a bit about what Coinbase is teasing right now. Coinbase is teasing that there is a possible launch of a new product called CBBTC. Now, we met many commentators speculating that the United States-based crypto exchange is launching its own wrapped Bitcoin token. Now, apparently on August 13th, that was about 2 days ago, a post on X came out and the official Coinbase account, and it just had one word, CBBTC. And then they added coming soon. So that was just a follow-up comment to the original posts. Now, cryptic posts about CBBTC are coming 3 days after some controversy was sparked when BitGo, the team behind Wrap Bitcoin, announced plans to transfer control over WBTC to a joint venture made up of itself, Hong Kong-based investment manager Bit Global, and Justin Sun's Tron ecosystem. Imagine what a collaboration of those guys would be like. Now, crypto risk management firm Block Analytica Labs, that's BA Labs, proposed that decentralized finance giant maker DAO close all new WBTC debts on the protocol and prevent new borrowing against WBTC collateral. Now, this is a quote. It says, BA Labs said, we find that Sun's involvement as a controlling interest in the new WBTC joint venture presents an unacceptable level of risk. What is Justin Sun up to? That's the question. Now, apparently, a $1.6 billion port investment could revive El Salvador's Bitcoin City plans. Turkish port operator Yieldport Holdings is investing about $1.6 billion in 2 port projects in El Salvador. And that's marking the largest private investment in the country's history. Now, this investment could help realize El Salvador's ambitious Bitcoin City project. And the deal, announced by President Nayib Bukele, involves Yieldport and El Salvador's Autonomous Port Executive Commission, that's SEPA, jointly operating in Ajaculta and LA Union for 50 years. And our construction of La Union Port started in 2005, but the port was never launched, according to a video on Bukele's X account. Now, La Union is the site of the proposed Bitcoin City and was first announced by Bukele in 2021. Now, months after the president made the cryptocurrency a legal tender in the country of El Salvador. Now, the new city would run completely on BTC and be exempt from all taxation except for VAT. That's VAT. That's why it is such a big deal for that Bitcoin City to come to life. Now, over to Canada. Canadian crypto exchange gambled away $9.5 million of users' Bitcoin and Ethereum, apparently. The Canadian cryptocurrency trading platform EasyBTC and its founder, David Simile, defrauded customers apparently by misappropriating approximately 13 million Canadian dollars. That's about $9.5 million of American dollars of their cryptocurrency investments using funds for gambling. Oh, goodness me. Now, a panel set by the British Columbia Securities Commission, a provincial regulator in Canada, found that EasyBTC had misappropriated this customers' funds for their own purposes. And apparently, the platform went offline permanently around September 2019 and was dissolved by 2022. And they claimed to store all the users' crypto investments in cold storage. That was the claim. But during its time of operation between 2016 and 2019, they amassed over 2,300 Bitcoin and over 600 Ethereum from crypto investors. According to the panel that was put together, Simile diverted nearly 1/3 of users' funds for gambling and personal use, and that was about 935.46 Bitcoin and about 159 Ethereum. Goodness me. Oh, well. Transferred. Actually, there's actually evidence of it being transferred to sites like Cloudbet and Fortune Jack. Yeah. So 2019 to 2022, it's been a while, but it still hurts to hear it. It still hurts to hear how some people just went all the way left. All right, then I'm going to be wrapping it up on the Blockchain Mastery podcast for today. But of course, we will be having loads more conversations about what's happening in the blockchain tech space and, of course, the opportunities for the future. All right, then, a big shout out to everyone who sent in their comments and contributions today. It was actually a really interesting conversation with Charles Freeborn. Please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow, comment, contribute to our platforms, no matter where you're listening or watching us from.